Okay, so today I'm just going to do a really quick review over proportions. And up at the top it says here, remember, a proportion is used when two equal ratios are compared, making an equation. So this is an example of a ratio, or excuse me, a proportion. If we're adding two fractions like a half plus 2/3, that is not a proportion. Okay, that's not a proportion. Even if we have something like a half times 2/3, still not a proportion. It's only when we see that equal sign in the middle. Okay, and how we deal with proportions, and I know you guys have learned this before, is we just cross multiply, because I know that clearing the denominators or in order to clear these denominators, I need to go through the process of multiplying by them on the other side. So essentially, I'm just cross multiplying. So I take 10 times 10, and that's going to give me 100 on one side of my equal sign. And then I'm going to take 8 times n on the other side, which is just going to be 8n. And then the last thing I do to solve is I just divide. So I divide by 8. And I see that n equals, let's see, and that's going to give me n equals 25 over 2. Okay. All right, so let's look at number 2. Actually, go ahead and pause the video and you guys try number 2. Okay, so cross multiplying here, I have 7 times 7, that's 49. And then on the other side, n times 8, that is 8n. I go ahead and divide by 8 on both sides. And I don't think that reduces at all. I think it just stays 49 over 8. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and look at one that's a little more complicated here. All right, so cross multiplying. Now, the 7 times 5, that's the easy part, right? So I have 7 times 5, that's 35 on one side of the equal sign. On the other side, it gets a little more difficult because I need to take 10 times b plus 5. So in order to do that, I need to use parentheses to show that I'm taking 10 times all of b plus 5. Now just solving this, I have 35 equals 10b plus 50 once I distribute the 10 into the parentheses. So I subtract 50, and I end up with negative 15 equals 10b, divided by 10 on both sides, and b equals negative 3/2 once I reduce and take a 5 out of both of them. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, try number 4, and then you can play the video when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, so 5 times r plus 5, that's 5 times r plus 5. On the other side, 8 times r minus 9, so 8 times r minus 9. So I'm going to need to distribute on both sides. So on this left-hand side, I have 5r plus 25. On the right-hand side, I have 8r minus 72. Then I need to get my r's to the same side, so I subtract 5r from both sides. So this part should be the easy part, the part that you already know. So I have 25 equals 3r minus 72. Opposite operation, so I add 72 to both sides. It gives me 97 equals 3r. Divide by 3 on both sides. And let's see, that would give me, well, I guess that doesn't really reduce, does it? So I would have r equals 97 over 3. If you wanted to make it a decimal, that would be fine. Okay, lastly, our application problem here. It says the scale on the map is 2 centimeters to 4 kilometers. So if I make that a fraction, I have 2 centimeters to 4 kilometers. So remember, I can make any ratio into a fraction. And I want that to be the same as if the distance between the two cities is 24 kilometers. So remember, if kilometers are on bottom, I need to keep kilometers on bottom. How far apart then are the centimeters how far apart in centimeters are the two cities on the map? So that's the part that I'm going to be figuring out. So I'm going to put my variable there for x. Okay, I don't really need these labels. I just had to put them there so that I knew my 24 went on bottom with the other kilometers. So now I cross multiply. So I take 24 times 2, that's 48. And 4 times x is just 4x. Divide by 4. And x equals, that'd be 10, 12, right? X equals 12. So then my answer would be 12 centimeters. Okay? So that's how you can kind of take an application problem and make it into a proportion that you can go ahead and solve. Okay, so you guys are ready for the 2 practice activities.